gentlemen, how are we? Welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. What an afternoon it's been for me personally. Not a great afternoon for Oxford United though. We do lose the game by 2 goals to 0. We're going to be discussing all of that. Of course, we've got a match reaction as always on the channel straight after the game. Nothing changes there. Not the result we wanted though, is it? Not the result we wanted. It finishes the game and it finishes at the KCOM Stadium. Oxford United 0. Well, Hull City 2, Oxford United 0, which is a little bit frustrating. And like we said, not really the result that we wanted. But at the end of the day, I think we could, please do give your thoughts in the chat as always as well. That's what we want to hear. Hopefully you can hear me okay as well in the chat. Please do make sure that do let me know if the stream is holding up okay and everything should be working fine. We've got 5 people in the chat right now. Please do leave a like and get involved in the chat. Everything you say in the chat, I'll be reading out and discussing on the podcast. It's the same as always. Get your thoughts. I'll be giving mine as always because we've got so much to discuss. Again though, it's not the result we wanted, is it? I mean, there's going to be so many opinions. There's going to be so many opinions, and that's why I'm intrigued to see what's in the live chat. There's going to be so many opinions. Was it a free hit today, or was it a game where we could have gone and got something out of the game, whether that be a point or whether that be a win? I think that's the main consensus, isn't it? What was today's real focus going, as we went into the game today? How did we all feel going into it? And that, that's the interesting thing. I've been speaking, if you didn't know, I've just been on BBC Radio Oxford show, wasn't at the game, which was a fantastic experience for me. And I thank you all again as well, everybody that watches the podcast, whether that's live or whether that's the other episode of the podcast I do, without you watching without you watching the podcast, an opportunity like that would never come around. So I really do thank you all so much for watching the stream, and please do subscribe if you're new and leave a like, because without you watching the streams and without you doing all of that, I would not get the opportunity to go on and be part of a radio show like I was today. And it was a fantastic experience. Speaking to some fantastic people, speaking to the manager as well. I didn't actually get to speak to the manager, but just to have Carl Robinson's face on my screen and just listening to him in the chat with with Nick Harris and all these people was just a fantastic experience for me. And without you watching that, it wouldn't be possible. So I would like to say thank you first of all. However, we're going to be speaking about the game. It's 2-0, and I think we all now know, if we didn't know already, why Hull City are top of the league. They're a fantastic side. They're up there. They were top of the league going into the game, and they are top of the league still. We are now 4 points away from the playoffs. We spoke about it, and we spoke about it on the show, the radio show as well. We spoke about how we're talking about playoffs so much, but we haven't actually been in the playoffs this season, and it's such a strange thing, but it's so true. We haven't been in the playoffs this season, and is the playoff, every time we lose a game, we always ask the question, is the playoff dream over? And I always would like to say, we've still got games left. I think we've still got 12 or 13 games left. The answer to that is no. I don't think it is over. I really don't think the playoff dream and finishing the top 6 is over. We are battling for 6th. I think we can all agree on that. But at the same time, I hope that we've got some games coming up now that don't really make anything easier, which is, we've got Doncaster on Tuesday. They're a team that we lost to, of course, only a few weeks ago now. We did lose to them 3-2. We've got them again on Tuesday, which is going to be an extremely difficult game. The question, is that a must win? It was, it's a question that I'd be interested to see what you people think of, and please do get involved in the chat. What do you think of today's game? How do you feel about it? Because I'll be interested to see, as I always am, really, really interested to see how we all feel about it. We always knew it was going to be a difficult game. They're top of the league, and they are top of the league for a reason. They're beating everybody. Well, not everybody. They're beating a large amount of the teams, and they're top of the league for a very, very good reason. I think today we all sort of can feel and understand why that is, and why they are leading the table and look like they probably will go up this season. I think they probably will get automatic promotion. I think that's I think that's not a guarantee, but certainly I don't think that's such a dangerous thing to say. They'll be up there this season, whether that's with as champions or second place and get promoted that way. Either way, though, it's going to be a season I think Hull City will go up in, and we knew that going into the game. Was it a free hit? It's a bit of a question mark. Going into a game like that with that mentality can be very, very dangerous. If you're a player that goes into a game with that mentality, if it's a free hit, we don't really care. That can really sometimes change the way that a player plays his game. And we have got to go there and I spoke about it again. I'll probably keep linking back to the radio show I did, because I've just literally finished that. I've literally did that half an hour break straight onto this, so I am sort of feeling like I'm still on that. I'm not. I'm on my podcast again, but it is sort of that feeling, isn't it? Of, is it a free hit, or is it just a case of we needed to get there and do something and maybe scrape a point? But it's difficult, isn't it? It is really, really difficult. I thought Hull City were fantastic. They had a plan. They had a game plan. They executed to perfection. They went there. I think they play on the counter-attack. Cameron Rannigan said it in his on his press conference, with his sort of press conference after the game. He said they had a plan. They wanted to hit Oxford United on the counter-attack. They went into the game with a game plan and they executed to perfection. I think they did that. They knew what we were going to do. They knew that we're very, very good on the ball. They didn't really want to compete with us, really. We had more possession in the game. They knew that the only way that they were going to, not the only way, but there was a very, very big chance of them coming out with a result today, was if they played on the counter-attack and if they played on the break. And if they did do that, and they did, didn't they? They did do that. They did play like that. And if you didn't watch the game, that is how they played. They played with a counter-attack style of football that was, their player on the left, I think it was, or the right. Oh, remember, it was Anthony Ford's defensive side, that's the right. But obviously his wing, if you're looking at it from that point of view. We look at Lewis Potter today for Hull City. He is a player, he's different level. He's different gravy. That boy is a player that I can see playing Championship football next season, and he may be playing Championship football with Hull City next season. It looks like it, the way Hull City are playing. They look like a team that could beat anyone, really. But, we speak about a player like Lewis Potter. I think he was absolutely phenomenal today. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And Anthony Ford had a very, very difficult game. We knew Anthony Ford was going to have a very, very difficult game. He's not a right back, I don't think, and I don't think anybody can really argue the point to say that I think he's going to be our right back, and I think he's got I don't think he did a bad job, but you can you can see that sense of vulnerability, I guess, down that right-hand side when he's playing there. He's a player that can play in midfield very, very well. We've seen that. He's a player that can play very, very well on the wing, on the flanks, and we've seen that again. He can do that very, very well at Oxford United. He's a very, very helpful and very, very good football player. At right back, though, it's still a question mark, isn't there? And I think today they found that, and Lewis Potter had a lot of freedom, had a lot of room to really give Ford a very, very difficult game, and I don't think he didn't do that. I think he did that very, very well. If that was said, which I'm guessing it was, Ford is not a player that plays there a lot, and isn't a born right back. They know how it's going to work. They know that if they can keep going down that right-hand side and Lewis Potter can keep doing that, then I think they're going to get a lot of joy, and I think he did get a lot of joy. I think he really, really did enjoy the game. He definitely got the first goal. It was a fantastic ball from the right back. It was a great ball over the top. That's just class. That's why they're top of the league. It's a great ball over the top, into the back of the net, bottom right-hand corner. Jack Stevens, I don't think there can be two arguments there. Matthew says Ford's versatility is the most important thing he brings to Oxford United. I think you're spot on, mate. He's so, so versatile. And do give your chats in as well. I'll be reading out all of them as per usual. Give your thoughts in the chat. I'll be reading all of those out as I am doing now for Matthews. And I think you're spot on there about Ford's versatility. He's a player that is always going to give you 100%, and he's always going to give you depth in the positions. And again, we speak about injuries. We've spoken quite a lot about, we've got Sam Winnall injured, we've got Sam Long injured, we've got James Henry injured, we've got Goran, who picked up a knock in the last game, and that's why he couldn't play today. So many players with knocks, so many players with injuries, so many players out. You need players with versatility. You need players that are going to come into positions and are going to give 100% and are going to be the best that they possibly can. And I think Ford always does that. He may not be a natural right back, but unless you play right back week in, week out, you're not going to be a natural right back. And I think Ford definitely did that today. So I think you're spot on there, Matthew. He is a player that gives fantastic versatility. This is Oxford United squad, and also, again, a fantastic player when it comes, to giving 100%, and it gives it, when it comes to, we need a player that's going to step up. And if there's going to be a player that's going to turn up today and turn up week in, week out and give you 110%, it's Anthony Ford, and I would never slate him for that. I think he's been fantastic. In terms of how the game went, we were the better side, I think, in the first 60 minutes. Carl Robinson said I'd maybe generously knock that down to probably the first half. They came out very, very well, Hull City, as you can imagine. They took the lead not quite early on, about 30 minutes into the game. But I thought generally we were quite a good. We gave them very, very good competition for the whole of the game. The scoreline says 2-0. It seems like we were just beaten fair and square. I don't think we were beaten fair and square in the sense that we didn't give them a game. I think fair and square, they had chances. They were clinical. we weren't clinical. And I think that's really what the scoreline reflects, doesn't it? It finishes 2-0, and that's normally what the 2-0 consensus of a result feels like. However, I am also in the boat of, we had a very, very good start to the game. Dan Adji, again, really having a good start to this game. Dan Adji came on and did fantastic well against Swindon, got the goal, and in the end, a crucial goal. And, that's what I mean. He got that opportunity today. Carl Robinson gave him that opportunity to come in today and give him, and make an impact from the start. And I think he did make an impact from the start. He didn't go and blow us all away in that sense. I don't think he did that. At the start, I think he blew us all away, but I think, he didn't hit the back of the net, so he didn't get that sort of effect. But he was very, very helpful to this Oxford United side today, and Hull City, they played a way in which at the moment, right at the start, I think they looked quite scared of Dan Adji. It was a player that, like I said, he's got this weird sort of attribute about him, and not in a bad way whatsoever, in a very, very good way. He's a quick player. He's also extremely physical and extremely strong, and that can really, really hurt opposition, especially when you're not expecting it. What Hull City did do, though, is they dropped a little bit deeper, and that's when we sort of saw Dan Adji sort of, I guess, flicker out of the game in the politest way possible, because they sort of they played in a way and they adapted to that. They adapted to the way that we knew we were going to play with Dan Adji. And that's how the game went. Please do, with Dan Adji anyway, please do give your thoughts as well. Please do leave a like on the stream. And, of course, give your thoughts in the chat. Everything you say in the chat today will be read out and discussed in the podcast episode. Whether you're a Hull City fan or whether you're an Oxford United fan, please do give your thoughts on the game in the live chat. All you've got to do is type it in, send it off, and it's going to be straight here on the live chat for me to say. And at the end of the day, I think it's a game which we always knew was going to be very, very difficult. But at the same time, was it, I keep coming back to this free hit thing. Is it a free hit, or do we go there and hope for a point? It's gone now. We can't really think about that now. In the end, we don't get anything from the game, and we've got a difficult game on Tuesday. Paul Groves says, we weren't clinical enough today. We have to take our chances, and I think you're really echoing and perfectly echoing exactly, I think, what all Oxford United fans are saying at the moment. We're not clinical. We haven't got a goal scorer that I think in front of goal can take the chances, and I think that's the worrying thing, isn't it? Is there a player for you? Please do give your thoughts. What's the consensus? What's the feeling around the striker situation? We're really, really struggling when it comes to hitting the back of the net and finding that clinical edge in the final third, and that's the difficult thing. I think that's what's holding us back at the moment. It's that real sense of when we get an opportunity to hit, when we create a chance, is anyone going to be there today? We put some fantastic balls into the box. Some of the players today gave absolutely everything to put a ball into the box. And the frustrating thing is no one was there. No one was there to gamble, to attempt to get anything on the end of it. And that's really, really difficult and quite difficult to take, because I really hope Matty Taylor can find form. I really hope he can. If we want to finish in the top six, we want to finish in the playoffs, and we want to have a chance to get into the championship next season, we need a player. We need a striker that's going to give and gonna find some form. I think Matty Taylor's the player that when he gets a goal, he'll go on a run and he'll find form and he'll find confidence. At the same time, I think it's really, really important to say that first goal needs to come sooner rather than later. It needs to happen as quickly as we possibly can. We haven't got unlimited games left. We've got 12 or 13 games left. We've got some big games left. We've got some important games against tough opposition coming up. And we need a player that's going to hit the back of the net as quickly as possible. And is Matty Taylor going to get that opportunity? Is Matty Taylor going to hit the back of the net? And I really, really hope and pray that he does. But at the moment, it's really, really difficult to tell. But I don't know. It's so difficult. And the more, if he gets some more opportunities, he didn't start today, so he couldn't really make an impact from the start. And he got a few minutes off the bench as well, 10, 15 minutes off the bench. It's difficult for a striker to come on in a game at 2-0 down and make an impact like that. But at the same time, you really, really hope we get something from it. And I think, like Paul Gross says, it's that clinicalness, isn't it? It's trying to find the back of the net. And it's that first goal for Matty Taylor that's so important. And you can really hope that it happens sooner rather than later. I hope it happens soon. I hope it happens before it's too late. And I think that's the important thing. It's got to happen quickly. And if it doesn't, where are we? Where do we go from there? Because we can't rely on, our midfield as well. We spoke about it. Cameron Brannigan hasn't scored a goal this season. Anthony Ford hasn't scored a goal this season. Gorin scored a penalty. Hansen hasn't scored. We look at that midfield that started today. Hansen, Brannigan, and Elliot Lee / Sykes, I guess. Sykes hasn't scored a goal this season. Elliot Lee has scored 2 goals this season, hasn't he? But Sykes hasn't scored a goal this season. Brannigan hasn't. Hansen hasn't. Gorin hasn't. Midfielders aren't helping in with the goals, and that's the problem, isn't it? That's the biggest thing. It's trying to find it's trying to get goals from somewhere. If they're not going to come from strikers at the moment, they're not. If they're not going to come from there, where do they come from? Where do we see these goals coming from? Because simple stat, it's laughed at when it's said you have to score goals to win football matches. And if we want it and to win football matches, if we do win those games, we finish in the playoffs, in my opinion. If we win games and if we keep winning because results are going our way there or thereabouts every single week, we need to start winning some games. I'm not saying today. I'm not saying today needed to be a win, and I'm not saying that by any stretch. Today was a little bit of a free hit, but also it was also a sense of, could we have gone there and maybe snatched the point? Could we have maybe gone there and hit them on the counter-attack? Turns out that was their way of playing. Could we have gone there and got a point? Who knows? We didn't, and that's the difficult thing to take for me personally. Tat Matthews says, think Carl Robinson needs to try 2 up front and see how it goes, and that is something that was mentioned on the radio show a few minutes ago that we were discussing, and it's a thing that fans, I think we speak about quite a lot, about fans having a say on the way that the manager should play and how you feel your team should play. And I don't think, by no means at all am I saying that we shouldn't have that opinion. I definitely do think as fans that's the role we play, is questioning these decisions, questioning what could be done differently. And I think Matthew doing that perfectly well there. Could we change a formation? Could we try something different? It's probably a case of it could happen, and it may be, it may make an impact. It may change the way we play in that sort of final third with the 2 strikers, but at the same time, is it going to happen? Did Carl Robinson do it at MK Dons? I don't believe he did. Did he do it against Charlton when he was there? I don't believe he did. As fans, it's our role, and it's definitely our role to question that decision and make it so that maybe that's what we all feel could be a possibility. Is it going to happen? Is the biggest question mark of them all. And at the moment, I can't see it happening. I can't see Carl Robinson change the way he wants to play to sort the striker situation out. Should it be? Maybe. On paper, it sounds ridiculous that it isn't. He has got to find a way of hitting the back of the net and changing the way he plays it at the back of the to start scoring goals and winning football matches. But like I said, today isn't one of those games. Today isn't a game where I think we can all say that it's disappointing we didn't win. It was an extremely difficult game to go in to a top of the league. It's Doncaster, I think, is the big one on Tuesday. It's a game in which we have to try and beat them. We have to try and beat them. If we don't, we get a point, that's fine. If we lose to Doncaster, I think our playoff situation is in real it's in a mess. It's probably in the mud a little bit if we lose today and lose to Doncaster. We've got games coming up that on paper are a nicer run of games, but we're speaking about these teams. We've got Burton, who again are not, we're speaking of people are speaking like Burton are still a team that, can be rolled over. They're in fantastic form and look like they're going to, be safe this season. Northampton as well are finding a good run of games. So there's some teams coming up which is so difficult to pick out. And Nick Harris said it on the show earlier. It's about, on the radio show, not on this one, it's about picking out these games. Are we going to win that game? We need to get a point out of this game. This game's a must win, all this sort of, and all that sort of thing. But at the same time, they're so difficult because it's this division that's very, very, very competitive, and anyone can beat anybody, and anybody can give anybody a game. And that's the difficult thing that Oxford United are in at the moment. Hopefully against Doncaster we can go there and maybe get something out of the game and find a point, and if not, find the 3 points, because I think that's preferably what we want. I wouldn't go as far as say it's a must win. We've still got games coming up as well, but we do need to start winning games. At what point is a draw not enough? At what point is a defeat not enough? Some people say every time, but again, from a realistic point of view, today would have been a fantastic point if we'd got one. We didn't. That's the way it is, unfortunately. Please do give your thoughts in the chat as always as well. I'll be reading out all of your thoughts as it goes, but difficult game for Oxford United, and we knew that coming into the game. It's no surprise. It's not like we're all going to sit here baffled and surprised as to why the game finished 2-0 and we didn't win the game. And But because I think at spells, I think we were the better team and played some very, very good football. We had some early chance with Dan Adji, like we mentioned as well. We got some good balls into the box that maybe on another day with a striker with a bit more confidence could have dived onto that and got something out of it. It's that thing, isn't it? It's that big question of uncertainty that now the game's finished and now the 90 minutes is up, or the added time that we had and all that sort of thing. Now the game and that final whistle has gone. We don't know how it, we don't know. That's it. We can't change anything. And that's a little bit frustrating. But like we said, we've got a huge game on Tuesday, a huge game against Doncaster. We look at the league table as well. I get it up for me to see, and I'll read it to you, and what it means for Oxford United going into these games, because we've got some difficult games coming up. As every team is difficult, but some extremely difficult and some, in particular, specific games coming up as well. We're still in 9th as of right now, but at the same time, it is now a 4-point gap between us and 6th. 6th, of course, at Ipswich. They're on 54 points. We stay on 50 after the defeat today. But again, Portsmouth, now are on the same amount of games as us after they didn't play today. Charlton have played 2 games more than us, and they're on 2 points more as well. So it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. It's not finished. It's not all dead and buried. There's still a really, really good chance of us finishing that top 6. But you look at the likes of Ipswich, you look at the likes of Portsmouth, Charlton, Accrington, Doncaster. These teams all want to finish in the top 6. We're competing with so many teams that it's so difficult, and we knew it is going to be difficult, but it's even more difficult because we're competing with some fantastic teams. And do we come under that bracket at the moment of a fantastic team on form? That's a question for you to answer. At the end of the day, Hull are a top side. However, knowing we could beat anyone on our day is always frustrating when we don't win. On our day, we're always frustrated when we don't win or drop points. As soon as the team play like we know they can, we'll start racking the points up. And I think you're spot on again, Matthew. It's about that. We know what this squad can offer. We know what this team can do, and I think this team could have beaten Hull today. It would have been a very, very different picture if James Henry was fit, if Matty Taylor was firing, if Sam Winner was available to come off the bench, if Barker maybe started the game. I'm still not sure on Shodipo. Please do give me your thoughts on Shodipo. It's an interesting one, Shodipo. He could have his own podcast and his own talking about media at the moment, because he's really, people are speaking. I think he's struggling at the moment. I really think he's struggling. I really, really do. He's got the potential of a really, really good player, but it's that real sense of rawness at the moment about Mide Shodipo. And please do give me your thoughts on that, because it's quite difficult to think about. It's quite difficult to feel, and it's difficult to get a consensus with him. But yeah, please do give your thoughts in the chat, and please do leave a like as well, as always. Like Matthew, has left a fantastic comment there about playing the way that we know we can, and playing with the potential of the squad that we know we've got, and that's the frustrating thing. 100%. But like we said, with those players, I know we can't change anything, and it is if, buts, and maybes. But at the same time, you just feel like maybe today could have been something different. It could have finished differently, but it's the way it is. It's 2-0, and we have to move on to Tuesday. Please do also please do continue your thoughts. We'll do man of the match. We don't really normally when we lose the game, and I'm sort of in an upbeat mood. I shouldn't be, but I am, in the sense that I'm quite not happy. I can take that result. Because it was a very, very difficult game that we knew was going to be difficult, and I don't think we embarrassed ourselves. We certainly didn't get battered, and we certainly gave them a really, really good game. If we lose against Doncaster, I think it's a really different feeling, because they're a team we definitely should be given more of a game at home. I know it doesn't really matter this season whether we're at home or not, but definitely you feel like we could be giving them a better game than we did against Hull, but I don't think we gave Hull a poor game by a stretch. Do give your man of the matches. I'll give mine straight away. I haven't really thought about it, so I'm going to have to go through the players as well. You look at the starting lineup, I'll go through them as well. Of course, Jack Stevens started as well. Didn't have much to do. I don't think he was to blame at all for any of the goals as well. Anthony Ford, he struggled a little bit against the very, very lively, is it Potter Lewis? I've definitely got that wrong. That doesn't sound right. It might be that. Potter someone, or something Potter. Definitely that. But he struggled against him today, as we knew he would. Is it Lewis Potter? Sorry. It was going to be a difficult game for him, for Anthony Ford. I don't think he gets man of the match. Matthew says, on his day, Shodipo is a good player, but it's hardly ever his day in that sense. Yeah, I know. It's difficult, isn't it, with Mide Shodipo. He's a very frustrating player. I think that's the best way of putting it. I think at times you think, why is this? It sounds horrible, but why is this lad playing from the start? And then at times you go, how has he done that? It's an absolute, it's a miracle how you've done that. So it's difficult, isn't it? And I'm still unsure on Shodipo, and he's been here since the start of the season on loan, and that's the worrying thing. He's a player that's been here from the start and struggled a little bit. It looks like Shodipo has lost his confidence. Hopefully we can find form and gain confidence, and he can gain confidence again soon. I think you're spot on there as well. Shodipo does need to play with a bit more confidence. When he gets that goal, I think maybe we could see a different side to him. At the moment, he looks like he's trying a little bit too hard to make an impact, trying too hard to get himself a goal, and Collinson said it. He's trying too hard to be a 7 out of 8 out of 10. He needs to get that first goal, get a bit of confidence, and then go on, and he can do that. If he scores today and wins us the game 1-0, or gets us a point, he probably does get an 8 out of 10 because he was lively, but it's that final product with him, and I think that's the really frustrating thing as Oxford United fans, sort of the feeling at the moment with Shodipo is quite frustrating. And when he does those silly fouls as well, you want to pull your hair out, and I think that's the annoying thing with Mide Shodipo. But he's very, very, is he very young? He's like 22, 23, so he can learn from it. He can learn from his experience out on loan at Oxford United. I think he's learned a lot in recent games against Peterborough, against Hull. He's learned a lot about himself and about himself as a player, which I think is the most important thing when you do a loan move at Oxford United. As horrible as it sounds, we do care, but a player has to come in on loan, and we hope that a player that comes in on loan can make an impact and can change and be a very, very helpful player to go on and hopefully get promotion. That's what we want to bring Shodipo in for, and that's difficult, isn't it? That's difficult. We sort of got misstrapped there, the starting lineup. Ford again, I think he struggled a little bit, but understandably, he gave us a very, very good game. Again, 100% as always with Anthony Ford. Elliot Moore and Rob Atkinson. I thought Moore was a little bit sloppy with one pass, but again, I don't think you can blame him too much about it. He's been very, very solid throughout the whole of the season. Same with Atkinson. Left back Josh Ruffles, don't think he had an outstandingly bad game. I don't think he had an outstandingly good game. I think it was pretty average from Josh Ruffles. I don't remember a moment where I think he had a poor game. I think Hansen probably had one of the worst games we've seen from this starting 11. He didn't really get hold of the ball. We see how important Gorin is to this side. And when a new player comes in, and when a player comes in for Gorin, we do really see how important he is. And I think that's the frustrating thing. Lee again as well, a player that was really, really good to see him back in the starting lineup as well. Brannigan once again. And that front three, of course, of Shodipo, Aji and Sykes. And I don't know, man of the match is difficult. I'd probably give it to Brannigan. I thought Brannigan had a very, very good, not very, very, a good game. I thought he had a good game, Cameron Brannigan. But no outstanding performances, but a good game nonetheless. And in a very, very difficult game. I think that's where we're going to wrap the episode of the podcast up. Thank you everybody that's got involved as always, and thank you everybody that got involved in the chat and just watched the episode of the podcast. I really, really do appreciate it. It's fantastic to have an opportunity to go on the radio and then come on here after, because without you without you supporting what I do here, I wouldn't get the opportunity to go on the radio and enjoy myself doing that. And I felt I've had in a poor performance and in a poor result for Oxford United. Not a poor performance, maybe. I think we had quite a good performance, but in a poor finish to the game, a poor outcome, I'd say. I think we can all go away just looking to Tuesday. And for me, I've had a good day doing lots of different things, whether it's on here and with a podcast. But I've enjoyed myself, as always, on here. Please do have a good rest of your weekend. We've got some good football matches coming up in the Premier League tomorrow, haven't we? And what game have we got tonight? At the moment, Burnley are beating Everton. That's a bit of a shock result. Leeds Chelsea was a bit of a dull one. Man City Fulham. It's going to be an interesting one. But I think we've got some interesting games in the Premier League as well tomorrow. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's on to Tuesday, and hopefully we can get something there. Have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy it, and I'll see you probably Tuesday night again after that Doncaster game. If not, it'll be Wednesday. But yeah, I'll see you in the middle of next week, no doubt. Also, please do check out my recent episode of the podcast, Every League One Team's Worst Player Though so far this season. A really, really interesting podcast episode. Please do go check that out. Subscribe if you're new. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Thank you so much, everybody that's getting involved and did get involved. As